Musashi, the sword fighter, he's got a quote, accept everything just the way it is. And he's got an adjacent quote, truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is. And you must bend to its power or live a lie. So we have to accept things. And I like those statements from Musashi. I believe those statements from Musashi. I support those statements from Musashi. And I have spent a decent amount of time backing them up, right? And probably the premier case I have of that was when I talk about Jim Surlsley and Lewis Puller Jr., right? Jim Surlsley, who was wounded in Vietnam, lost both of his legs just below the hip, lost one arm, and he was able to thrive in his life. And the other counterexample is Lewis Puller Jr., who was also severely wounded, lost both of his legs, had severe damage to his hands, but he did not thrive. He struggled with alcohol. He just struggled in a bunch of different categories. And he eventually spiraled down and killed himself. And when we talked to Jim Surlsley, they had been roommates, or not roommates, but they were both in rehab at the same time. And Jim Surlsley had completely followed Musashi's advice and just accepted the situation he was in. And he said that Lewis Puller Jr. didn't quite get there. He didn't quite get there. So we have to accept things. That you have to, and in fact, even from a leadership perspective, like people get in a bad situation and they try and ignore it. They try and act like it's something that it's not. It's like, no, actually, you're losing money, or you're out of money, or your product is failing, or whatever the case may be. And people will just, I don't know if it's just like, no. Actually, this is the situation. You have to accept it. And once you accept it, now we can start doing a good assessment of the true circumstances. You're not going to waste any time fighting things that you can't change, right? It's going to allow you to faster adapt to whatever the situation is. It's going to help you be responsive instead of reactive. It's going to reduce frustration and anxiety, because you get frustrated when you can't change the thing. Mm-hmm. You think it can be changed. You think it's not the thing, and it is. So you have to accept things. And this will also, believe it or not, this will also give you the ability to say good in bad situations. To look at the situation and say, oh, this is a problem. Things didn't go the way I expected. I'm out of money. My employees are leaving. No one likes my product. Good. Now I can make adjustments. Good. Now I don't have to try that same product again. Good. Now I can tighten up my budget, right? It gives you the ability to try and figure out what good is going to come from the situation that you're in. So, as a rule, like Musashi says, you have to accept things the way they are. Just the way they are. Got to accept it. But, and this is, it's so bizarre to have these totally contrary views, right? Mm-hmm. To say you have to accept things, but there are things that you do not have to accept. There are situations that occur where you have to find another way. I think a great example of this is Ernest Shackleton, who was on his ship. The Endurance was crushed by... This is a book that we have never covered on the podcast. And I've always said I would cover it on the podcast. But first I'm going to cover another expedition, which is the Greely expedition, which went to the North Pole, or attempted to go to the North Pole, and they ran into problems, and they were caught in ice, and they completely did not succeed. And there's reports of cannibalism. They killed each other. Like it was the opposite of Shackleton.
Gotcha.
You know, Shackleton was this incredible leader. But he did not accept the situation that they were in. Like their ship gets crushed by ice. There's 27 men stranded. They abandon the ship. They take whatever they can. They live on these like ice floes. But then the ice starts to break up. And finally, they take the lifeboats. They paddle the lifeboats and sail the lifeboats to this place called Elephant Island. And then Shackleton and five again. This is all just. I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting that that we're going to die because our vessel's trapped. We're going to get out and we're going to set up business on these ice floes. Oh, those things are cracking and breaking up and sinking. Cool. We're not going to accept that. We're going to get in these lifeboats. We're going to get somewhere. Oh, we're going to get to this Elephant Island. Once we get to Elephant Island, unoccupied. Oh, what are we going to do there? Die? No. We're going to set up camp. We're going to start working. We're going to start hunting. We're going to make things work. And by the way, eventually, Shackleton's going to say, you know what? I'm going to go get us help. And he's going to go 800 miles in a freaking lifeboat. And once he gets to a place called South Georgia, he lands, but there's no one there. So he has to cross this mountainous, unmapped, uncharted terrain and get to an old whaling town, a little whaling station, not even a town, a little whaling station, and convince people that, hey, we need to go rescue these 20 guys are left on this Elephant Island. And he organizes the rescue, and they go and save everybody. And everyone survives. So there's like 14 times when, you know, well, the situation is we're all going to die. And he said no. So there are times when you are going to be caught off guard. Things are going to occur that you don't expect, that you don't like. You're going to fall short. You're going to hit an obstacle that you didn't expect. That's going to happen. And although Musashi says you got to accept everything just the way it is, sometimes you got to say, no, I don't accept that. And this is something that you pointed out that I do. Mm-hmm. Don't accept it. There are times where you have to say, no, I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to do something different. And then it's very important to be able to take a step back and detach and reassess the situation. Reassess the situation that you're in. And assess the path and assess your goal and assess your resources and find a freaking way. You have to do that. But what's difficult about this in life is you have to be able to discern which is which. That's what you have to do. And in order to do that, you have to get out of procedural memory mode. You have to remove your unconscious habit. You have to take away your behavioral inertia. And you have to go into manual mode. Because you can look at a big obstacle and say, oh, I'll never be able to get over that. Because you've never made it over that obstacle before.
Right.
And you're used to that. And if that's the way you operate, you're not going to make the changes that are required. So you have to switch into manual mode. You have to decide, actively decide what you need to accept because something is truly unchangeable, and you're going to have to change your course. You're going to have to change your being. Or you're going to have to figure out what you need to reject. What things you will not accept. And then you've got to impose your will, or you've got to open your mind, which are, again, these are two opposite things. I'm going to impose my will. I'm going to get through it. Or open my mind and say, wait, how can I get around this? Mm-hmm. How can I avoid this? Mm-hmm. But both those options are there. And if you allow your behavioral inertia just to guide your life, there's going to be things that you're just going to accept, and you're just going to go with what happens. And there's going to be opportunities where you could have rejected things that were occurring in your life, and you don't. You just accept them. And that's not good. That is not good. Sometimes you have to stand up and say, no, I don't freaking accept this thing.